All right. Hi, everyone. It's Ojay McDonald here, CEO of the Association of Town and City Management. We are continuing our Blueprint for Resilience series where we look at how we can support our high streets during the COVID-19 crisis. Today, I'm absolutely delighted to have the fabulous Alison Lomax with us from Google to discuss with us how Google can support the high street. Alison, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. I'm delighted to be on YouTube. Great choice of platform.
Oh, well, it's a fabulous platform, as we've learned from a certain big event a few months ago. So, Alison, tell us, how's life on lockdown for you and the rest of the Google team?
Well, it's it's certainly different, isn't it? On the one hand, we can do our jobs and haven't missed a beat in that respect. But I think learning how to work remotely, I've got big distributed teams, that's quite challenging in building connections and team culture and the sort of, the normal just team collaboration that you have by sitting with people and working with people. But overall, it's good. And we're all adjusting to it because it is indeed the new norm and it isn't setting to change anytime soon. And there are benefits. We were talking actually before we kicked off about it's great to spend a bit more time at home and not rushing around and traveling around the country as much. How's it for you?
For us, I think it's, in a way, it's been really nice. Like you say, spending time with families is lovely. And I think a normal week for me is traveling here, there and everywhere across the country, meeting people.
So
sorry.
And obviously, one of the other bits is when you get interrupted during various webinars.
But again, that's the new norm, and like everyone expects a child or a dog or something else. Yeah. So that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the benefits, certainly in terms of working for us, is getting to use certain productivity tools, actually, which have been great for ATCM. And I just want to say a big thank you to Google. So having tools like the what you've done with Google Meet and making that free for up to 250 participants, that's brilliant. That's really saved us. And just really getting to use tools like YouTube as well is really, really helpful.
That's great to hear. Exactly, it does. It really helps with productivity and efficiency. I've certainly benefited from Google Classroom as well. I've got 2 Google Classrooms going on as we speak in different rooms in the house.
Oh, amazing. So on that note then, so let's talk a little bit more about the stuff Google can do to support our high street. So I know you've got some slides for us. So do you want to talk us through how you're supporting retailers?
Yeah, exactly. I think the first thing I'd just say is it's just hard to, we certainly wouldn't have imagined 6 months ago that we would all be sitting here, working from home, homeschooling, with a lot of shops shut. And so many challenges for retailers with distribution centres, stocks, logistic, and everything else. So it's a very unusual time that we are living in. And certainly how we're working with retailers really depends on their circumstances because every situation is completely different. So I just want to make that clear. It's a time where it's difficult to sort of scale the same solutions out to everyone because everyone's going through different challenges. But I'm going to cover 5 areas really of where we're working with retailers and which are open to everyone to use, so any of your members and any sort of SMB retailers to use. So the first is tools. Obviously, Google's mission is to organize the world's information and to make it universally accessible. We're very passionate about providing tools that can provide insights to any of our clients. And this is a fantastic tool, the Rising Retail Categories tool. We know from Ipsos data that actually people are switching more and more than ever before, largely because actually they can't necessarily get what they need in shops, and so they're switching, and so it's more and more important to understand what people are looking for. And you can see actually on the right hand side, top trending category, sneeze guards. That's an example of something that we certainly wouldn't have anticipated seeing in the trends tool 6 months ago.
Yeah, of course.
And there are some other brilliant ones. There's DIY hairdressing, which is obviously big now. My husband still hasn't let me cut his hair. I think he trusts my 10-year-old to cut his hair better than me, which is slightly worrying. Paddle boards, bicycle racks, picnic hampers, so it's really useful for retailers to constantly be looking at what's trending and then be able to cater for the demand that we're seeing from customers. Also, it's worth saying for a number of retailers, we work with them globally, so it's very useful for them to see this information cut by different country. And also we can share the information that we are seeing when reopenings are happening. So for example, like in Germany and Austria, there are some learnings from when shops are reopening. what are we seeing and what are we hearing on the ground, so we can share that international insight as well.
Fabulous.
The second area is one I know you love, Ojay, Google My Business.
Yep.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know it, it's free and easy to use for business organizations to manage their online presence across Google, across search and maps. So people can see more information about shops when they're open, when they're shut, addresses, etc. And we've launched some more retail features around COVID time to help retail business, for example, promoting click and collect, which is, again, has been obviously massively on the rise. Curbside pickup, which is big in the States and coming to EMEA now. Everything around kind of pickup and delivery. And also for food business as well, letting customers know when food businesses are open for takeout, for delivery, again, increasingly with restaurants who might be shut, but they've got those services. So the functionality of Google My Business is even better, if possible, than ever before.
Fantastic. And I just want to say there as well, we've had examples of this for business improvement districts out there. If you want to take on managing some of that info on behalf of your businesses, it's really easy to do. You can work with 100 odd businesses and make sure they're all visible on Google My Business and all that information's up to date.
Excellent. And we can, and you've got access anyway to the sort of blogs on it as well and all the further information. So that can be
absolutely
shared, and it's really simple to use. So the third area is one that I know we're very passionate about, which is making digital training free for everyone. So we're passionate about giving everyone the tools and the training that they need. We also know in the government's Digital High Street 2020 report, Future High Streets Forum identified eliminating digital skills gap as one of the 4 key achievements required to revitalise the high street. And now more than ever before, with shop shut, is that e-commerce functionality is more important. So Digital Garage, for those of you who don't know what it is, it's been running for 5 years, up and down the country. So we've done over 300,000 face-to-face engagements, and that's with small businesses. It's also with students and with anyone really on the street who's gone into these digital garages to be trained up in any which way they want digitally. And what's really exciting now is that we've made all of that information accessible. So the list of courses that you can do now with Digital Garage is even greater than ever. And that's everything from learning around leading in complexity, so more sort of self-development courses, improving collaboration, we were talking about collaboration at the beginning, collaboration and productivity, as well as the more digital skills, which is around using machine learning or web analytics or any of that sort of social media training, functionality, etc. So it's bigger and better than ever.
Oh, amazing.
And then the fourth area is we're partnering with a High Streets task force. So one of the things that we did with Digital Garage last year is that we did a High Streets tour where we toured 15 different high streets across the UK. So we're continuing our efforts working with High Streets, providing a grant and advising their committee to support digital innovation. For those of you who don't know, High Streets Task Force helps England's high streets and town centres to thrive, and it provides a sort of training and guidance. So it's an extension of a lot of the work that we do with Digital Garage. But yeah, really, really important for our high streets. Any questions on that one? It's probably an area close to your heart.
Yeah, absolutely. So ATCM is the co-chair of the High Streets Task Force Sector Leaders Group. So we are, and we partner with the Institute of Place Management. So yeah, we know the High Streets Task Force well. Obviously, we had a big stream of work all prepared over the next 5 years, but COVID-19 has changed that. But I think the task force has really responded well in dealing with some of the immediate issues now. So it's great to see that Google's involved in supporting that effort.
Excellent. And just keep sharing what you want to see more of us doing and how we can help in any ways that we're not currently.
Brilliant. Absolutely.
And then the final area I just want to talk about is investments. We've invested 800 million globally to support small business and crisis response. And this includes 340 million in ad credits available to all SMBs who have been advertising with us kind of over the last year. So helping them to promote their businesses and their services during obviously what's a sort of a difficult time. And then the final thing really sort of attached to that is just around, we've got Think with Google, which is a fantastic website. For those of you who haven't signed up to Think with Google, please do. There are a number of articles there specifically around retail, which I'd recommend you reading. I've actually just published one yesterday as well, which is all around collaboration and working from home and how to build team culture. So whilst not directly related to this topic, it's still relevant to everyone. And, you know, as we all navigate the world of working from home and how to make it most effective for ourselves and also for our teams as well. So that's a quick whistle-stop tour, Ojay, of some of the things that we've been doing. Let me know if you've got any questions, anything else that I haven't covered.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, there's so much there. I mean, what do you think are some of the, it's difficult to say now, but do you think there's any positives for the high street to take from COVID-19? Is there any sort of little chinks of light we can look forward to from the chaos we're seeing at the moment?
My view is that there is always innovation and creativity during disruption, which is exactly what this is. And it doesn't feel like it at the moment, does it? Because, you know, it's such difficult times for so many retailers who are faced with like very kind of, you know, serious challenges. What I would say, though, is what's been really interesting is kind of some of the innovation, well, particularly around sort of digital transformation. So there was an interesting article I saw last night on LinkedIn. I haven't seen the UK cut yet, but it showed that in the US, there'd been more e-commerce growth in the last 7 weeks than there had in the previous 10 years. So just showing that acceleration and how quickly it's happening, which, you know, which was a sort of a move, but is now obviously being completely, you know, transformed during this. And so from my perspective, obviously any digital transformation is very positive, and building e-commerce capabilities, which a lot of what I've covered in this is talking about those, you know, e-commerce capabilities. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's something we've recognized. So our member, you'll know him actually, your local beard, Simon Keithley, at Camden Town Unlimited, has spoken about the fact that some of the trends we're seeing in high streets at the moment because of COVID-19, they look like they're coming forward in the space of about 10 weeks. Some of the trends which would have happened over the space of 10 years. And that's the level of acceleration we see. And I think about some of the innovation and creativity we do see from small businesses out there that may have otherwise have been sort of unwilling or slow to adapt. I think that need to survive has meant people have embraced different tools they wouldn't necessarily have embraced before in different ways.
Yeah, no, it's really true. I mean, I think about one of my local shops. I've got a lovely local kind of like fashion little boutique. And every time I went in there for the last 2 years, the lady who ran it said, I really must sort of learn how to use social media. Alison, you must kind of just come in here and show me how to do it. And I said, whenever, honestly, I can sit down, I can spend loads, I can just help you to do it all. I can build your website, whatever you need. And she didn't. And in the last 7 weeks, she's nailed it. And she's run a brilliant social campaign, really smart. It's all, you know, #@home. And she's got all of her shoppers posting pictures of outfits that they've been wearing at home that they bought from her boutique. And, you know, it's fantastic to see it because she could do it all. She almost had this sort of slight block about being able to do digital and social stuff because she sort of felt she was, you know, slightly out of that generation who did it. And she's absolutely nailed it. And, you know, she's still managing to stay in a decent business, even with a shop. She's just doing delivery. So people are, you know, buying stuff online and then she's delivering it locally. So there is always a positive.
There is absolutely. Here's a question for you. Have you done Joe Wicks yet? Have you done Joe Wicks in the living room?
Love Joe Wicks, yeah.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
What I love about Joe Wicks, I mean, he's the UK's most popular PE teacher, isn't he? You know, my kids love him, I love him, my husband loves him, and the nation loves him. And it's really, I mean, from our perspective, obviously, YouTube watch time has kind of gone through the roof. It's up 28% year on year, and you know, it's become a place where those cultural moments are being created. You know, things like Joe Wicks is lovely. It's like the sort of the UK's kids are all coming together at 9 o'clock in the morning and they're all doing it together. Yeah. So again, there are always positives that come from it. Do you do Joe?
Yeah. Well, I think we did it once. I thought this is fairly basic stuff. A fit guy like me, I'll get through this no problem. 15 minutes in, I had to take a breather. It's seriously hard work, but it is so good fun. The kids love him. The kids love him, and I think just seeing various entrepreneurial people embrace the use of video in that way, especially on YouTube's platform, I think it's great. I think it's great. And I've seen so many examples of businesses starting to embrace video in that way, because we can't obviously be due to physical distancing.
Yeah.
We need to think of those different ways we can engage people. And I think that's just really exciting to see.
Yeah, definitely. And it's also, you know, it's unexpected people and organizations. So like the National Theatre, they upload a play every Thursday from their archive. So a different play is premiered every week. And, you know, you wouldn't expect to go to YouTube to find James Corden, you know, performing in a play that, you know, he did 15 years ago on YouTube. But it's brilliant. And then we've got the same with like ballet and opera. And so lots of the more of the traditional, you know, cultural organizations have also embraced it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something we've discussed at ATCM through our Blueprint for Resilience series. And one of the questions we've asked is, how much will some of these trends endure once we are past COVID-19? So will we continue to get some of these new forms of engagement happening indefinitely from now on? And I think that's going to be a really interesting question for us all. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think some will. I think they will, definitely. I think certainly in terms of my household, you know, my husband works in film, and so he was always a little bit disapproving about YouTube. But, you know, after a bit of Joe Wicks, the National Theatre, he's got it. He loves it. Loves it.
Oh, about time as well.
Exactly. So I think some will stick, and some, you know, there will be some things that go back to normal. I think the really interesting one, it's something that I'm very passionate about, because I've led the strategy for flexible working at Google for the last 2 years. But the working from home is I mean, Twitter have announced in the last week that people can work from home indefinitely now. That's now, if you never want to go back to the office, you can work from home forever. And so I think that will be fascinating to see whether or not people want to go back and still work 5 days a week, or whether or not there's a lot more demand to work 1 or 2 days from home, or even to be based in, you know, the Shetland Islands. So, and I think that will have a hugely positive impact, both from employees about their well-being, but also from employers in terms of like sourcing talent from different places.
Yeah, I agree. And that could be a massive change in terms of not just home life, of course, but also what it means for our city centres and our town centres, our local areas, our neighbourhoods, where people are more likely to be based if they're not having to go into big offices. So there's all these huge implications which we're just trying to process and understand for the longer term.
Yeah, it's true. Local high streets, exactly. If there are more people working from home, all the local cafes and shops, and that's hugely positive. And what's your view on that? What do you think is going to stick, and what's going to go back to how it was?
So I think for us, totally agree in terms of things like the use of streaming, certain video services. I think some of those trends will stick. Maybe not entirely, maybe not everything. I think there will be a certain case of people wanting to get back out there and socialize again. Especially for a younger generation who might feel like they're cooped up and they're missing out on their best years, who will want to get back out there. But I do think certain trends will stick. I think people will be nervous about working in big offices again. I think people will be more flexible about allowing their employees to work from home. I think there will be shifts there which will endure. I think things like, something we were going to discuss at summer school, which we've had to postpone, issues around the cashless society and the acceleration of that we've seen through COVID-19. I can't see that doing anything else but enduring. I think those people who aren't using cash now, as that was always going to be the trend anyway, that's always where we were moving. I think that's a particular trend that will probably stick. I think this accelerates the end of cash as a sort of form of trade. So it's interesting. It's interesting just going through all these different issues and trying to understand what the long-term impacts are.
Yeah, that's a great big one to end on.
It's a big one, isn't it? Yeah,
the end of cash.
The end of cash. That was going to be the name of my whole session at summer school as well. It was just going to be called The End of Cash. I like to go big with these things.
I think it's great.
Oh yeah, well we'll get there, and we will have Google Pay on board for that as well. I think that would be a fabulous topic to discuss. Alison, you've been brilliant as you always are. Thank you very much for the support. I think this has been wonderful. For those people watching, if you want to find out more about the support Google offers, we've included some of Google's videos on supporting small businesses on our ATCM channel, so take a look. Otherwise, Alison, thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Great to see you, and yeah, take care.
Yeah, you too, Alison.
In real life, hopefully sometime soon.
Oh yeah, I look forward to it. I can't wait.
All right, bye.
Thank you, Alison. Bye.